Hey, what's up, everybody? It must be Wednesday night, and it must be 8 o'clock because you got in touch with you got in touch with the Miller Boyz on your Wednesday evening, where we talk about all things impacting the African American community. I almost stop saying the city of Fresno because we talk about a whole bunch of different stuff in different places.
We're in tune.
We're in touch. We try to be.
We're in touch. Hey.
Okay. What's it called? Siri?
In touch.
Okay, Siri. Anyway, so as I always get started, please make sure you get your census information completed. What I have learned is that the census deadline date has been moved up. They've moved the date up to the end of this month. September 30th is the cutoff for whatever that means as far as being able to submit your census information. From what I'm understanding, that Congress is going to take some other action, in particular the House of Representatives are going to take some other actions to extend and maybe even go over into 2021 to be able to count people in the census. But please don't wait. Go to 2020census.gov. 2020census.gov. Please complete your census information. Remember, the census information is about your house and how many people are living in your house. So they're going on your address and all the people that are living in your house, whether it be full-time or part-time. So count everybody, babies, grandparents, your son, your 21-year-old son who's only there 3 days a week. He's there part-time, and there's a way for you to count him in the information that you send in. So please get that done. And I encourage you also to help people get that done. All you need is people's information, their address and their personal information, birth dates and things like that to log them in and get them accounted for. But it's very, very, very important that we get that done. So that's number one. Number two, I want everybody, as soon as we get off today, or even while you're, some people can't do it, but even those who are listening to us right now, to go to vote.org and check your voter registration status. That site is applicable to anybody who's a registered voter in the United States. It will take you to your specific state, your specific county, and will tell you exactly where you're registered to vote. And if that information is wrong, you've moved, it's inaccurate for some reason, there is a secondary step on there where you can actually go and register. At least in California, I know you can go and register through that site for this election. And then lastly, what I've been hearing from everybody, and I totally agree from this, is for this election cycle, you need to do two things. One, first, you need to make a plan. How are you going to vote? What are you going to do with your ballot when you get it in the mail in California and other places? How are you going to get a return? Are you going to use a mailbox, the U.S. mail? Are you going to use a drop box? Are you going to take it back in person? Come up with a plan about how you're going to vote. And then secondly, vote in October. Do not wait till Election Day of November 3rd to cast your ballot, because there's all kind of shenanigans that's going on out there, and who knows what's going to happen. You may be in the midst of a tornado or a hurricane, anything by that time. Please make sure you make a plan about how you're going to get your ballot completed and turned in. Secondly, please make sure that you complete that process and actually cast your ballot in October. So with that, that's the two things I wanted to make sure that I got off my chest. Gmail. What's up with you?
Just being beautiful, man. You know how it is. Just keeping a smile on my face, keeping my spectacles on so I can see, keeping my hair long and lush so it can blow through the wind as I travel the byways of America.
You funny. You are hilarious. Hey, by the way, you got a fan, man. You got a couple fans.
Oh man, they can't see me.
That's okay. They hear you.
They can't.
So I've been on. One of the things that's happening is that I've been asked to be on these different Zoom calls and some other things. So last night I was on something called God's Kingdom. I forget the first part of it, but it's the barbershop. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of brothers that are associated with West Side Church of God, Pastor Binion, who put together this conversation where they're talking about different things. And so it's probably age range, and most of the brothers probably would have been mid-40s on average, mid-40s to 50. And it was interesting. It was good conversations. It was across the country. So we had a brother on there
really? That's good.
from, I think he was in D.C. I know he was on the East Coast. He was in the East Coast time frame. Because when we got off, it was 8:30 to 11:30 for him. He was talking about that. So brother from the Midwest out of Chicago. And so that's the third types of conversations that I've had like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been invited and participated in any types of community conversations?
Just with little cousin Takari.
With the 555
Yes.
talk? No.
Yes.
559 talk? Or
Yes.
Talk 559? Yeah, that's the other one. There's a group also that I've been invited to come in. I can't always do it because it's on Wednesdays. It is with a group of 30-something-year-old brothers mainly that are all most of them are in education with psychology, counseling degrees, that type of stuff. And so they're talking about mental health issues as it relates to African American men.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you the. It's with Murray. With
Pastor Murray?
no. He's been a guest on the show before. Darrell. With
Oh,
Darrell.
okay.
Darrell
Okay.
Murray. He's
Okay.
part of that. Also, they'll put it together.
I like
and
Mr.
with his
Darrell.
background, yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
make sure when they send me the invitation, I'll make sure that I send that to you.
Okay.
So I just find it interesting that these types of platforms are starting to present themselves. And as much as people, including myself, complain about being isolated from each other and not having the personal touch and having to do all these Zoom meetings, I'm finding that people are being very, very, very creative with how to use this platform, this digital platform that we have, to be able to meet a need. And so that's why the question came up, if you were participating in any of those other than the
Well,
one with
I look at it two different ways. I don't have a problem getting involved in discussing and shooting some ideas and interesting information out there in the world and understand. But yeah, we can't meet in person anymore, and so people are finding out that Zoom and what's the Microsoft whatever it is the way to go, so that you can still meet on person, get your point across, get your understanding across, and have that intellectual properties. And what they've also found out is that what the devil is with social media is that you can hide and you can listen and you can be a voyeur, because pretty much your punk ass ain't gonna get out there and want to say nothing. So I understand that's Gerald Miller's.
But that's true. I mean, there are people that do that, but there's also the flip side of it, that some people use that as a platform to get it all out.
Yes. Oh, yes. There's always extremes. Marcus was, and so I'm gonna take this to my city question. And Marcus was telling me about some kids at a certain high school that starts with a B were kicking their instructors out of the meetings. I don't know. I'm not technological. I'd rather sit in my backyard and watch the squirrels run around and have intellectual thought and meditate instead of doing those types of things. But I guess the students were kicking the teacher out of the platforms. I guess there's a way on Zoom you can do that.
You have to be a host, so they must have hacked in some
I don't
kind of
know.
way to
He
be able
said
to
somehow
become a
that
host,
they can,
get the
when you
controls.
you can relinquish the. I don't know, man. And I'm assuming that these teachers out here are just as illiterate in this computer stuff as I am. So my thing is that people have asked me, how do I feel about, the same questions that we have here. How do I feel about the current condition of school? Mm-hmm. And then the conversation, for me, it's always, I don't think they should be in school right now anyway. I think that they should wait until the virus, for COVID-19, the solution, the vaccine, thank you very much, is presented to the world, and then we should go back to doing what we're doing. If you want to have an informal study sessions, then we can have informal study sessions where you can bring these kids, track them, bring them into loose discussions and things of that nature. I think that would be fine. Most people, the working class people, are saying, these kids should be going back to school because, what about the parents? We have to work and we have. So in essence, what you're saying is that you need the school to babysit your child while you're at home doing whatever it is that you are doing. Most of these parents, I'm assuming, maybe work 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, not three, two jobs, or at least 1 or 2 jobs. But if you think about it, they can't go to work anyway because you can't socialize. You know.
But that's like that argument though is what came first, the chicken or the egg. The people who were working multiple jobs are saying the kids should go back to school so we can go back to work.
Right.
But they can't go back to work not because of the kids, it's because of the virus.
They ain't got no job to go back to.
And some
of them. Let's not say all of them. Yeah.
And so it's one of the, I see it as one of those secular arguments that there is really no.
And then the other one, 1 is my way. 2 is the kids should be going back to school, so that the parents can go back to work. And 3 is kind of in that babysitting realm. Well, you have kids at home now with the stupidest parents who can't even figure this stuff out. So. But your child is being held accountable. My 6th grade daughter today had an issue with the computer that was issued to her with the sound going down, and we couldn't get the sound up. So now she's excused from all of her classes, and she's basically missed a day of school that she now has to make up and be accountable for. Tough titty. That she has to go through that, but I mean, is it really? I mean, really?
Here's one of the more insidious things that I didn't know about until I had a conversation with someone in the last week. Is one of the problems that's going on with this digital learning is that the teachers haven't been totally prepared for what it is that they're expected to do.
Right.
There's been a lot of assumptions made because teachers use their computers to take roll, and they can do PowerPoints, and they can do some basic things with the computer that when they made this conversion to this online platform, that they would understand. Windows 10. They don't understand all the operations that goes along with these units. So I applaud our higher education systems. You cannot teach a class at Fresno State. You cannot teach a class in State Center unless you've been certified as a online instructor, where they take you into that platform. And at Fresno City, I believe the process is 4 days, if I'm not mistaken, where they actually walk you through all of the expectations of the platform you're using, all the functionalities within inside of that platform, and how you can use, maybe if you're good with PowerPoints, how you can take your PowerPoint and now upload and put that into the platform that you're expected to use. A lot of the school districts said, okay, teachers have all these, they know how to do PowerPoint and stuff, so all they're going to be able to do is just upload all that stuff, but there wasn't that checking for understanding, which is a teacher's term, educational term. Anytime you instruct somebody in something new, you're supposed to check for understanding. And if they can't tell you what it is that you just taught them, you just had a conversation. There's no teaching going on. And so I think that's part of the misnomer. And what you're sharing about the school with the B, obviously the student's knowledge of the platform that they're using,
of course,
is way beyond what their teacher is, because that's crazy. That teacher had to give hosting permissions to a student in the class at some point in time. Because in order to kick somebody out of Zoom, you've got to have hosting privileges.
I don't know nothing about it.
I know at least that much from. But that's and then the other part about it is who's ultimately responsible for that.
Fresno Unified.
Yes, but who directly is responsible for that? That principal of that school. The principal of that school, that's where that report should be going, and that's who should be getting that information to be able to go back in there, because that principal's got a class that's not working. And that's a duty of a site principal, administrator, or a vice principal. But somebody administratively has got to be on the hook for that. But that's crazy that the kids are kicking their teacher out of Zoom. So, people are getting better with Zoom.
Of course,
with the more technologies. But kids, the young folks are always going to be more.
You do realize a chicken can peck a piano to make it sound like a.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. A monkey can. Hey. Like even I can get on Zoom. So those are my pet peeves there. for the city and the school district. It's just, I understand. I get it. We're gonna fight and muddle our way through this, but we're not gonna be our best doing it. And I've learned later in my life that I strive to be a pseudo perfectionist. I like things in order. I like things on time, because it's less worry. It's less stress. I had to teach when this is going on today with my sixth grader. I'm having to have a lesson in house about stress and coping mechanisms and why. Don't let this bother you, and how you guys will get a kick out of this. How that is a managing strategy of the oppressor. Is to have you in situations like this where you're stressed and then you're off guard and then you're constantly trying to fit yourself back into a comfortable situation. And so that's why I told her, hey, if it don't work, it don't work. We'll dismiss this and move on, and so, yeah.
She'll be fine. This is probably her first time dealing with this type of situation, and she'll come up with her own mechanisms.
She'll do exactly what I tell her.
She'll be fine. She's a very I don't know what the right word is. She knows how to.
She's a very cerebral child.
Correct.
So we don't want to get her thinking.
Intuitive.
We don't want to get her thinking about the negatives and the stressors, and because that brings about depression, and I think that this is the gateway drug into a lot of kids' depression in the future. And this is going to stress a whole lot of kids out, and then we're going to be looking back at an epidemic of why is little Johnny so stressed? And little Johnny is stressed because in the 6th grade he couldn't get on his computer and there was nobody there to help him and walk him through.
By the way, we're never going to go back to the way education was. So the brick and mortar buildings, sitting down in classes full of 40 students at a time and stuff, we're never going to go back to that.
Okay, so that brings me to my conspiracy theory, and we'll work that out. But
successful schools will institute some type of hybrid system where there is some direct one-on-one instruction, which is still the most effective way to instruct any person. But because of all the things we've got going on, wearing masks is going to become a norm, just like they've been doing in Asia for I don't know how many years. Wearing masks here is going to become a norm. Social distancing is going to be. You saying no?
Nope. As soon as the virus comes in, that's going to be all out the window. I really do believe that.
Okay, I got you. I just don't. I can't ascribe to that because the reason why the Asian folks went to it was because of the SARS was the one.
No, they went to wearing masks because of the soot and things in the air, the bad environment.
They got hit badly with one of those viruses a few years back as well.
Well, you had H1N1, chikungunya, SARS.
I'm not sure which one it was, but I know that one of them got hit. China in particular got hit pretty significantly with one of those viruses over there. Because I remember it was in their subway. I remember that was.
So the question that I would have to use a little pushback on that is, after the 1918 was it pandemic, and they put masks on, they took masks off. That you think that we're in a different time space to understanding education?
Well, from what I understand, basically in that pandemic, the virus disappeared. Basically, they went from having people having infections to people not having infections because there was never a vaccine, unless I didn't do enough research. I don't recall them ever coming up with a vaccine for that. They came up with protocols for how to deal with it, but that virus basically went dormant.
And now it's back 100 years.
Well, I don't know if it's not.
Well, they're not going to be able to track and tell you. Well, here's another question. Okay, because we're sliding off of the. Before we get away from the education, here's the other reason why I think that education is not going to be the way that it is. It was kind of like that already with some of the kids that couldn't be, homeschooling and things of that nature. If you remember, well, two things. If Donald Duck Trump gets back in the White House, then you're going to see a whole revamping of your educational system, because this is a gateway into what Bush tried to do and Reagan tried to do when they tried to privatize the school system. You got to remember that everything on the Republican side is about money,
Right.
money. So they're going to try and, like in I was watching the piece, a documentary on New Orleans school. There's no public schools in New
Correct.
Orleans. They're all
Basically sold them
privatized,
all out.
right? So that's where you're going to start getting vouchers to go to these different types of schools.
You know where all the money is in education, right?
I have no idea.
Textbooks. Textbooks and publishers.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: do you think that there's more money in Fresno Unified going to textbooks than there are going to children's seats? I can't really say seats in the chairs. Showing up every day, either online or in a brick and mortar building?
In the state of California,
Okay.
there's a law that requires a district such as Fresno Unified to give every student a textbook. It's a California state law.
How much does a textbook cost?
$100. I'm guessing
Okay,
$100,
let's say,
$150.
we can say $200 a textbook.
Mhm.
How much does one student? How much does the school district get paid for that one student to sit his butt in the school seat
I should know this.
per day?
$4,000 roughly.
A year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that one textbook that you have to buy one time for $200 does not outweigh a child being in that seat all year long for $4,000 at the end.
Remember, it's 4 subjects. So you got a textbook for each one of those
Okay,
subjects.
add it up.
And if you got a kid with
2,
special
4, 6,
needs,
8.
right. If you got a kid who's got special needs, there's certain requirements that goes along with that you have to
But
spend
every
money
child
for.
is okay.
Your second language
Okay.
population.
Okay.
So to answer your question, which I
So,
believe,
so let me give you a scenario to run down exactly what you're saying, okay? So the Miller boys, me, you, and our children and girls, are going to start a school,
Mhm.
okay? Would you rather start the school online or brick or mortar?
those are my only 2 choices. Because I would say hybrid.
Okay.
I would have kids come to
So
school.
we start a hybrid school,
Mhm.
okay? And there's so who's going to pay for these students to come to school, to our school?
Part of it's going to be out of ADA. Part of it's going to be out of your supplemental budgets, where you get money from different sources. You can go out and deal grants. I would not be
Tuition?
No, I would never work in a K-12 school to do tuition.
Okay. So the Miller boys -1 start this school, and that's where the money's going to be coming from. So just like when I went to San Francisco State in 1990, tuition semester was roughly $400 or $500.
Mhm.
Where is it now
Oh,
for
I don't-
12 units?
I don't know.
$1,500, $2,000?
I'm not sure. I don't know what the
Okay.
tuition is.
So-
It's
so-
$6,000 a year, if I'm not mistaken, at the CSUs.
So when it gets to that point, when people start figuring out that they can make money, it's going to take off.
Okay, so let me ask you this question.
Okay.
So the Miller boys start a school at, say we use Lane. That's our neighborhood school, or was in our neighborhood. We take over Lane and we start this school. And everybody's got a voucher, okay? And we got 100 slots.
You said $4,000
It's-
a voucher
Yeah, that's
for the year.
Mhm.
Okay, right.
So we're got 100 slots,
Mhm.
okay? Where are we going to get those 100 students from?
They're going to be begging and breaking down our door to get in the school because we're going to have the best of education that society can buy.
Correct. So that means we're going to take the best from all over the city and probably externally into the county. We're going to take the best 100 students that we can get because
Okay.
everybody's going to be knocking down because of the product we got.
Okay.
Okay. Where do those kids in Butler Park, who are not the best of students, who do not have all of the abilities to go, they're not mobile, those type of things, where are those kids now go to school? If
So
we only got.
let me ask you this, because you've interjected another part of this into the.
Well, that's what happens with vouchers and school choice.
Okay, okay, then I'll answer you. The question, the answer is, I don't care.
See, but that's not where Darren Miller is.
I said the Miller Boyz -1.
We got to care about. We've got to care about every child if we're going to make our society a positive thing. And
But
if we create an educational system that is isolating students, in particular the have-not students, we have done nothing but perpetuate the negativity in education that we have going on right now. We need to create an educational system, a public educational system, which is highly skilled, highly informative, and highly accessible to kids in their particular area.
The Miller Boyz Academy will put 100 students into the world that will do exactly that.
Okay, there's 72,000 students. We use because Lane is in Fresno Unified. There's 72,000 students that are being served by public education in Fresno Unified.
Okay.
If the Miller Boyz only take our best and turn out 100 of the best, what about the 71,900 other students that's in Fresno Unified? And I know what you're saying. That's not my problem. I wholeheartedly disagree with you. That is the problem of the city of Fresno. Because the city of Fresno.
Whoa. So now you're turning this into a social construct.
That's what public education is.
I'm talking about a private education that is paid for, as the Republicans are talking to us about school vouchers. That's why they want to go to a voucher system, because they don't care. And I said, and I started the whole conversation off with, if Donald Trump gets reelected and this is what happens, this is what we can look forward to. Betsy DeVos has already tried this several different times. Mm-hmm. I understand where you're coming from. I would rather not see that happen either. But if we continue on the path that we're on and we're going on, that's exactly what's going to happen. This is one step closer to being able to open up a school totally online, as they do with the colleges now. They sent all these college students back to college, and now they're having these widespread COVID cases, and they're cutting these colleges in half and sending them all home.
Well, you can get your master's degree. You might even be able to get a doctorate now 100% online.
That's fine, but that's a right turn off of the highway that we're on again.
How?
Okay.
That's the system that's doing the best with online learning, is our higher education institutions.
Okay.
And if you could earn a doctorate,
and that's not fair to a 7-year-old to compare them to somebody that has already struggled and made it all the way through college.
I'm comparing systems. I'm not talking about the individual. I'm talking about the system.
Okay.
The higher education system and how they deliver an instruction without having face-to-face instruction, they're light years ahead of where we are K-12 and being able to do that same.
But that's your 100. Those are your 100. What you're talking about, I know you're talking about systems, but you can't go and pick up watermelons the same way you go and pick up tomatoes. It's the system of farming, but you handle the product differently. You can't go into a higher education and deal with these intelligent people that have already graduated high school and understand they're going into a college where they have to study and they have to do all of these things with these youngsters that don't understand that. It's apples and oranges.
That's the challenge of K-12 education is because the system, the society of where we are with COVID is going to has already put a stopper in that. And K-12 education has already got caught with the pants down once last March when they had to shut down schools, and all of a sudden, how are you going to educate? If you notice, Fresno State, who's been working on a something program, distance learning program, instantaneously, a matter of a week or so, they were 100% online. State Center Community College, Fresno City, Reedley, that system, almost instantaneously, was able to switch and go to an online platform.
So let's talk about Fresno Unified, Clovis Unified. Are they going to be able to switch and go online?
They've already proved that they can't do that. They didn't do it in the
So when they can't do it this, how come they couldn't do it this year?
They weren't prepared for it.
Okay, they're going to be prepared for it next year.
Well, I'm hoping that since they've got more time.
Let's not hope.
Well, it's all I can say because I don't know. I'm not part of what they got going on. I can tell you that the results are is that they got an F grade in the spring, March to June. They got an F grade. K-12 education systems here in our area, for the most part, got an F grade of how when they shut down in March till June, they got an F grade. I can tell you, opening, it's been upgraded. It still would be, from what I'm hearing, a D or C level about how they're doing the instruction. You're telling me the teachers are getting kicked out their own Zoom rooms and stuff.
Teachers in where? Chicago, New York, somewhere, they're getting ready to strike so they don't have to go back to school?
They changed. That was New York. They changed it.
So my whole point is that if you have a school, and this is going to be sad to say, but I'm waiting for Emmanuel to blow up and get sick based on, and I understand, your religious beliefs and God's gonna save you and hold your hand through this pandemic, and y'all playing with dynamite out there. But I would rather send my children after the vaccine has been to a private school because I think that they would get a better education than in a public school. That's just me.
I hear you, and then when you say a better education, you have to. What makes that? Because I'm not disagreeing with you. I believe that there are some huge advantages to going to a private school over being in a public school. But I want you to elaborate what those positive attributes are.
Smaller interaction.
Correct. Smaller classes.
Teacher being able to call you and have that because there's less students that she's going to see during the day, he or she's going to see during the day, they should have a more positive relationship with your child and a positive relationship with you.
Okay. So what is one of the outcomes? What is one of the public school responses to COVID? I guess that's a horrible question. What is one of the things that public schools are being forced to do if they're having kids come back on campus? Lessen class size, lessen direct interaction. Smaller class size. This is another way of saying smaller class sizes. So they are going to be catching up as far as the expectation of what goes on the private schools. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I believe that they have to go to some type of hybrid system, where kids are going to be coming in and kids are going to be learning distantly. And if K-12 is not ready to make that type of adjustment, they're going to continue to struggle. Technology is moving in. They're getting ready to shoot off. I didn't realize that this new satellite that what's the private dude's name? StarX or whatever it is.
Elon Musk.
He's shooting off a satellite which is supposed to help. I thought he just shooting it off for testing, but it's supposed to be another satellite to help us with our internet.
This fool is talking about putting brain chips, implants in people's brain.
Okay, it's been done before. So I mean, I don't agree or disagree with it, but I'm just talking about the satellite that he's sending up in orbit to be able to pick up.
I get you.
Okay, so remember, do you remember when we became 559 area code?
Mm-hmm.
Why was that?
Why do we become 559? Because in the 209 area code, there were more emergency services, networks, and hubs, and they didn't want to change that system of 209 from northern 559, the northern San Joaquin Valley, and so they dumped on the lower Central San Joaquin Valley 559.
Didn't it also have something to do with the influx of cellular devices and tablets and those type of things? Why did they have to expand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of
technology.
Because of technology, but because of more phone services and numbers were being having to be acquired. Yes.
So that's what this is a different. I see this as a different way, different time period. But I equate it to what happened when they had to come up with all these additional area codes to be able to carry the weight of what the cell requirements were making. We've got the same thing going on in public education now. Everybody's being funneled into a virtual learning system that our capabilities, our infrastructure was not able to hold and handle. So we got one or two things, because we're never going to go back to not having cell phones and pagers and these type of devices. We're never going to go back to not having online instruction. So rather than worrying about what happened in the past, we need to get ourselves ready for what's going on in the future. And so Elon Musk sending up that satellite, if that's going to help us with our technological needs, great. Fresno County also needs to do something about our technological infrastructure, which is horrendous. We have more people in the technological highway, but they're riding on 2,000 roads that was created in 2000. Not gonna work. And so those are the types of things that I want to be eyeball deep involved in moving forward. We've been using this model of 5 days a week, basically 6 hours, 7 hours a day instruction for over 100 years.
Because that emulates your work day. That's when your parents are at work doing their thing, and the free education, free babysitter.
Exactly. So what are a lot of companies figuring out now, finding out that you don't have to be a productive employee, you don't have to come into an office. You just have to have it.
No, they're finding out that people can do their work from home.
Correct.
That doesn't make it more efficient.
If it's not efficient, then they'll get you to come back into the office. But there are studies out there now that companies are finding out that their efficiency levels have been going up. People are able to do the same type of work from home and get the same type of productivity from them at home than they did in the office. So why do I have to pay rent and mortgage and all these things on these brick and mortar buildings? We downsize this, cut our costs, and our employees, we give them state-of-the-art technology and accessibilities from their home, give them proper securities, and its bottom line goes up for us. Going back.
So which side of the fence are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side of the fence that has less of humanitarian for the workers, or are you going to be on the side of the fence which is less humanitarian for the workers' children in schools?
I don't understand what you mean by less humanitarian. You mean the interactive touch?
You're telling me that you want to educate children and do all of this for kids, and the whatever the Fresno Unified plus the 100 of our children that we're talking about, that I was talking about putting in the school, you care for them. Where are all those children going to find jobs?
Don't know. A lot of it's going to be them working from home. Because
the ones that are fortunate enough to find a job to work from home.
But that's the direction that the business is going in. Banking and those type of those, they're doing a lot of stuff from home. They were already doing telemarketing.
Well, how come it's okay? I get you.
But I mean, and going back to
school and education is a money grab.
Unfortunately, it's a business.
It's a business. It's a money grab. So no way, no how. So it's just like the prison, the pipeline, or prison industrial system, or whatever. You know, you're not going to cut that. So in essence, what you're telling me is we will never cut that spigot off because there's too many people employed in the prison industrial complex to, even though I feel that it's not right, to stop it. That's the new direction.
But it is. But there's already inroads into that. I don't remember what that proposition was that they got the released low.
So then what you're saying is we're going to run with this tidal wave of education and money and technology until we find the evils in it and start shutting it down.
Public education will never be shut down.
Why?
Because it's public education in America is a foundation for so many things, whether it be good or bad.
Serves two purposes: one, to educate the population, and two, to put money in that educational industrial complex. Other than that, there's and to babysit.
Public education.
Public education, yes.
That's what people learn to read. That's what people learn to equate. That's where people learn to do their social.
But you could do that at home.
Not necessarily. If you're an only child, you may not have any social outlets at home to be able to understand what is appropriate for a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, or you may be in a large family.
So you're telling me that it's okay for single parents? Well, not okay, but it will have to be acceptable for those single children to be at home online, or your hybrid sitting there doing their thing by themselves?
Yeah, I believe that there needs to be some type of situation in education moving forward. If education is to keep up with all the societal expectations and where we are, education has got to become more proficient at the use of technology. And right now in K-12, we did not do a real good job. And COVID-19 pulled our pants down and exposed us that we weren't ready. And so high school, middle school, high school is going to be way different, how you're going to interact socially and those type of things, than what you do K-6 or K-5, whatever. Kindergarten 1, 2, 3, there's got to be some type of exchange. There's got to be some type of gathering of young people, because that is where they learn rules. That's where they learn how to work together.
The social contract.
The social contracts that goes on. Washing your hands. Washing your hands and before
social
you
contract.
So that is one of the linchpins, the foundation components that goes on with preschool, pre-K.
You can't teach that at home on the computer?
You can, and there are people that do, but you also have a partnership, should be a partnership between home and school to get that done.
Okay.
And we've gotten away from that in public education.
Well, at the Miller Academy, we'll teach your child how to wash their hands and brush their teeth.
And you're going to have the
best 100 you can ever see.
100 kids of the 72,000 that we have here, 100,000 if you add in the other school districts that we have here. Those 100 kids are going to be outstanding. My concern is about the ones that are outside of that.
Well, my 100 will make a way for the other 70, whatever.
Because that exact concept that you're sharing right now, that mindset you're sharing, is exactly the mindset that Fresno Unified had in the 70s. They had that whole magnet program, that whole Manchester Gate program, where you rape the rest of the city of their best and brightest, and you concentrate.
Let's not use that term.
Well, educational rape, that's what they did. Fresno Unified and what they set up in the late 70s and early 80s,
no matter what,
they educationally raped all of the outlying areas, Kings Canyon, Sunnyside, all those places. They took the best and brightest of those kids in the 6th grade, and even in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, going into 7th grade, send them to Computech. 5th and 6th grade, 4th grade, they sent them to Manchester Gate. And they left the rest of the kids who were not the best and brightest in their home areas, their home school sites. And then they didn't supply them with enough sustenance to be able to get those kids at the school. If they would have left those kids in their particular areas, those best and brightest, and sent those resources to those areas to serve those best and brightest where they are, there are other kids who get missed in the mix, who would have benefited from not having an isolation, which is part of white supremacy, is you isolate yourself. So we didn't have that mindset in education here in Fresno Unified about isolation, and we would have been communal and sent those resources out to those individual areas. Fresno Unified would be totally different. Totally different. And they would not have the years of struggles that they've had with African American kids, with Hmong male kids, with Latino kids, kids of color in general. They would not have had these struggles because they would not have had those isolationists. Because think about it, they created their own segregation. They created their own segregated system within inside of this. And it lasted for 36 years in West Fresno. 36 years of basically segregation. So you right in my alley when we start talking about education and historically where we are and what's going on. Well, let me ask you this question, another education question for you. Was Brown versus Education,
The Board of Education.
Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, was that a positive or a negative on African American education from 1954 until now?
And that is exactly what we're talking about. In the short throws, it was positive.
Mm-hmm.
In the long throws, it was not positive. And the reason that it wasn't positive in the long throws is because it gave a false sense of community to African Americans. Mm-hmm. It gave African Americans, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, the Jesus Christ theory that someone was gonna come and save you. Before that, it was actually better for the people that were in those different areas to learn a self-worth, a self-understanding from people that look like them. So those concepts of self-reliance in your own community was torn away by that concept.
So my follow-up question is, you said it was positive in the immediacy.
Mm-hmm.
What was the positivity of the immediacy?
The newness of the books, the newness of the schools, the newness of those types of things. But in actuality, what should have happened was the resources should have been left in those communities, and it should have been separated in those fashions so that the kids could have enjoyed the newness of their own instead of the newness of everybody's.
The intentions of that court case, and remember, Thurgood Marshall is a fraternity brother of mine. I hold in the highest of esteem. He and I forget my other fraternity brother's name that was involved in that case as well. But the intentions of that case never came to fruition. Never. When that happened, 1954, when that decision came out, if there were 5 schools in a particular area, one of them was a segregated school for all black folks, and there was 4 all white schools, guess what happened? That district, as soon as that happened, if they were following the law,
they shut down the black schools.
They went from 5 schools to 4 schools, and they made the black folks, the black students, go and integrate those white schools.
So what are you trying to say? Because I'm not following this concept.
It's the isolationist mindset. So what should have happened is that wherever those kids lived in that city, that segregated school, that black school, should not have been shut down.
I agree.
If there were people that were living in that area, the resources.
What do you mean the isolationist theory?
The black school is inferior. The black school is not worthy. The black teachers, the black principals who were in those schools didn't retain their jobs.
Of course not.
They got rid of. So they took the black kids because of the money, the resources, the ADA, and incorporated them into those 4 schools.
Right.
If Brown,
what's the isolationist part?
That you take those kids out. You don't incorporate all. You isolating and saying that what you have is the best. And what should have happened, what the intentions of that is that it was going to make it equal for all. And that's not what happened.
But you can never integrate and make it equal for all because of the mindset of racism, white supremacy, what you just said. Because as soon as I am in charge of a system or a structure, then I am going to make sure that the people that look like me on that side are going to experience the best. And that's where you get your Manchester Gate.
No, Manchester Gate, there's a role.
Yes.
There is a role for Manchester Gate. Manchester Gate, because you have kids in your system that are 12 years old.
I'm confused. I've lost the tracking of the whole understanding of isolation. And
Manchester Gate was for the exceptional kids, not just the kids who at a Kings Canyon Middle School who happens to be scoring writing and on their English component scoring at an 85%, at the 85th percentile, and maybe they're at the 79th percentile in math, and they're the highest kid in Kings Canyon, so they're the best and the brightest in Kings Canyon. That is not a kid who should have been going to Manchester Gate. The kids that should have been going to Manchester Gate would be scoring the 95th and above percentile. They're a very, 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 very small number of kids, because those kids right there are not going to need to be in a 7th, 8th grade class, 6th grade class. They need to have different activities. What Fresno Unified did, trying to say that they were doing it fairly, is they started to take the top kids from all of the schools around the city and isolating them there. So you could have been a 70% kid, highest in your grade level at that particular school, and they were taking you to Manchester Gate. That kid should have not been going to Manchester Gate.
Because
he is not exceptional. He is the best. He's the best. Let me see if I can. He's the best catfish in the catfish pond. He's not a tuna. He ain't a shark. He's not a high fish in the whole fish kingdom. He just happens to be the best catfish in that catfish pond.
So okay.
There should not have been a kid
you said
at Manchester.
You said a whole lot, but what you just said is pure bullshit.
Okay.
Because a kid that is exceptional at any place, given the opportunity to succeed at Manchester Gate, the Miller Academy, or wherever, and can keep up with that better education, is going to go a lot further than any of the 73, whatever the number is. And that child should have the opportunity to succeed.
So why would they not take a kid that scored in the 55th percentile at Greenberg Elementary, who was the top Greenberg student there at their school?
Because that wasn't the system. That wasn't the way the system was.
And I'm telling you that the way the system was designed originally with Manchester Gate was for the highest of the highest performers.
Have we not had the... Okay. I'm not going to argue I'm not going to go around in a circle just to go around in a circle. I understand what you're saying. The elite, the school was set up for the elite to prosper. And then when they started to allow the elite from the other schools that might not have been the elite of the elite overall to be in, what I hear you saying is that you're opposed to that.
I am. Because they should have left those kids,
conversation over.
Those 70 percentile kids, those 60 percentile kids, they should have left them at their home school, so that their home school and their home community benefits from that.
Now you're robbing the child of the benefits of a better education.
You send the resources that kid requires to be successful to the school site. You don't take the kid out of the school site.
You do that because you have now created a situation where you can send a kid to a better place.
So then,
so I'm going to put on my Republican hat and say what you're talking about is straight socialism.
Right, and we are social people.
Okay.
Regardless of whether you accept it or not.
I would want my 70-something percentile child to go over there with the smart elite.
Correct.
So that he can learn what it is to function as a smart elite.
If your child was a true elite in a 95 percentile, you would be pushing back and against having that 75% kid sent over there. Because it's
not if the grand scale of the population is about sending my child to the elites so that he can become an elite, so he can take care of himself in the future.
Here's the bottom line. Fresno Unified has been doing this 35 years.
Okay.
Exactly what you're saying should be done. And what is
I'm not saying that should be done.
What is the result of that?
It doesn't. Okay.
What is the result?
The result of that is that the white folks in this area that we're in have a better education.
Ooh.
You just said it. You just said that the better education was
so
at the elitist school.
So I wish I knew their stats. But I can tell you right now, in Fresno Unified, it's less than a third of the kids are on grade level.
You think the less of the kids at Manchester Gate, Baird, and Computech are not on grade level?
They are.
They are
on grade level.
Okay.
Manchester, Baird, Computech. Kings Canyon ain't. Sequoia ain't. Tanaya's not.
So why would you send?
Tioga's not.
Why would you send? Why would you have the opportunity to send your child to be educated by an elite structure, and why would you choose to send them to these other schools?
You're talking about it from a parent standpoint. I'm talking about it from a school provider system. So the goal of Fresno Unified should be to make every elementary school they got in their district just like Manchester.
So let me.
Every middle school in Fresno Unified should be stocked to be just like Computech. And as long as it's not happening in that vein, we got an isolation system going on. We got 35 years of track record, 35 years of them doing what they're doing, and it hasn't been working.
Oh, it's been working. And see, that's one of the other things. It's been working. It ain't been working for your benefit, but for if I'm standing on the other side of the road where my kids get to go to the elitist of the elitist school with the people who are going to, when they graduate from high school, allow them to work in their dad's fruit packing company as a supervisor rather than a fruit picker. Oh yeah, it's working. When my child goes off to Fresno City and gets these CDs or whatever it is, and then he can go work at Rontel Chevrolet. Oh, it's working. It might not be working for you, but it's working.
There's more of me's than there are of them.
That's why the economy works, because there's more of yous and me's that's shoveling out money than it is for them. They ain't shoveling out money. They putting the money that we're shoveling out in their pocket.
Okay. That's all the young folks. So under 40, the majority of Americans who are under 40, that big old group is going to change all of that. And I can't wait. I can't wait to be in my rocking chair and watch our young people change the system that we have right now. Because this system that we've got structured and the way that it's set up is not benefiting enough people.
It's not going to happen, brother.
Okay.
And why is it not going to happen? Because of your word, America is based on a capitalistic society. Mm-hmm. And that capitalism ain't going nowhere. It's only getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay. So
Anyway, we're up against it a little after, I don't know what time. What time we get started?
Just cut me off. Just go cut me off. Okay.
KB, what time we get started?
Frustrated.
Oh, so we are. Okay, so anyway, make sure you get your census done, 2020 census.gov. Make sure you go to vote.org, check your voter registration, where you are, and have a plan to vote in October.
And my USA comment, I'm going to put this out there, that it was total bullshit that Donald Trump went to Wisconsin and sided on the side of the police department and the law enforcement and said that he was going to even give $84 million to law enforcement in that state, which is that I can understand, but pays no attention to the young man who was shot in the back 7 times, and that's just unjust and unrighteous.
Agreed.
So I'll be glad when he's gone. That was my USA comment for the night.
All right. So anyway, everybody, God willing, we will see you back here next Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Love, peace, and hair grease.
You're watching In Touch with the Miller Boys.
I hope that you can educate your child. If not, send them to 559-000-1212, the Miller Academy.
Okay.